KE7K. I'll be your net controller, excuse me, for this evening, or for the first part of this evening's East Coast Reflector Tech Net. This is net number 616. We're closing in on 12 years. So that'll be a fun net coming up. Tonight's question, so everybody can begin thinking about it, is do you read instruction manuals on your radio equipment? Do you read the instruction manuals on your radio equipment? As normal, we have an order for the net. We'll begin with anybody on the ECR team. Then we'll move to silent keys. We have a celebrity call sign of the week. Actually, you might do that after the facilitators. Then silent keys. New users, questions for the TechNet, and then our swap and shop, and then we'll move on to general check-ins. This evening, the check-ins begin with the 7th call district. It'll be 7890, and then 1 through 6. Those check-ins go by the number in your call sign, not necessarily where you are located. So if there's a 7 in your call sign, you'll check in with them, regardless of where you might be in the country. All right, anybody from the East Coast Reflector team that would like to check in this evening, please come now.
WB2JPQ. Yes.
There, we've got Dick and Mark. Dick, you're up first, WB2JPQ. Good evening.
Hey again, Kevin. Good evening, everybody. Just a couple quick announcements. As I mentioned on the Morning Brew last week, toward the end of the week, our April magazine is out. Another wonderful magazine by the crew. And you can subscribe yourself. We've got hundreds of people so far that have subscribed themselves by BIT.
Here where I'm at, I've checked it across my radios and everything, and usually I can hear it just fine, but not right now.
I guess I better watch the monitor and see if it was somebody coming from the South Coast reflector. Anyway, forgot where I was, but I said good evening to everybody. I mentioned that the April Reflector magazine is out. Another fine piece of work by the ECR team, Vicki and her team. And we've also had hundreds of people subscribe themselves. If you're not getting the magazine, you can subscribe yourself. bit.ly/ECR subscribe. ECR subscribe. You can subscribe yourself if you're not getting the magazine. And if you got a problem with that, let one of us know and we'll fix it up. I was going to mention our Wednesday night, but I think Mark's going to do that. Only other thing, I had gotten a text message a little bit earlier tonight asking us to repeat the how to get in and how to follow along on our fetch logs. That's bit.ly/ECR logs. ECR logs. So about all I got. See you a little bit down the road here on the net. This is WB2JPQ.
All right, thank you very much, Dick. Next up is Mark, the KE2EDS.
As far as the question is concerned, yes, I do read the manuals. I usually actually print another copy, put a notebook together, and it's something I do play around with. And yes, what Dick had mentioned, tomorrow night We have open mic night, looking for new net controllers, but for tomorrow night we're filled up. But if you're interested, please look at bit.ly/ECR open mic. There's a form to fill out, and we could fill you in on one of the Wednesdays coming up. Have a great evening, KE2EDS.
All right, thank you, Mark. That's been a fun net to listen to and hear new people taking a chance and being a net controller. So thank you for organizing that. Anybody else on the East Coast Reflector team that would like to check in this evening, please come now.
Kilo Juliet 7, Mike Lima Kilo.
All right, Trevor, we'll have you stand by just for a few minutes. We're only taking East Coast Reflector team members at this moment. Final call for any East Coast Reflector team members. Please come now. All right, nothing heard. I think I mentioned the wrong order just a minute ago. We're going to take silent keys next, and then we'll do the celebrity call sign of the week. Silent key portion is for anybody in the East Coast Reflector team that has passed away recently that we'd like to recognize. We didn't find any in the database this week, which is a good thing, but perhaps you have your own to bring to the net. So if you have a silent key, please come now with your call sign.
Kilowatt 5, Hotel Lima Hotel, K5HOH.
Hey, good evening, Harry, K5HLH. What's the call sign of the silent key?
First name is Rick, November 6, Victor Foxtrot Yankee. November 6, Victor Foxtrot Yankee. I'm good on QRZ, and I always put a little bit of information on our silent keys in our area on my QRZ page at the bottom. Back to net, K5HLH.
Okay, very good, Harry. Just to make sure we've got it right, I think you said Rick. That call sign's coming up as Leon. Just want to make sure we've got the right one. Is it November 6th, Victor Foxtrot Yankee?
November 6th, Victor Foxtrot Uniform. November 6th, Victor Foxtrot Uniform, QSL.
Yeah, QSL, Harry, we got it corrected there. November 6th, Victor Foxtrot Uniform. Anybody else with a silent key, please come now with your call sign. All right, hearing none, we'll take just a moment and make a final call for Rick out of Grants, New Mexico. A November 6th, Victor Foxtrot Uniform. This is W2 ECR. And this is KE7K, your net control station. We'll move on to the celebrity call sign of the week. Joe, KD2TFB has that for us. Go ahead, Joe.
Oh, good evening, everyone. I would say all the radios I've gotten so far, I've needed some sort of documentation help on it. So, yes, I definitely read the manuals. The primary source for this week's Celebrity Call Sign of the Week is the English Language Wikipedia, and is therefore subject to the Creative Commons Attribution Share-alike 4.0 license. Our celebrity was born on April 3rd, 1924 in Omaha, Nebraska, the last of 3 children. He had sisters Jocelyn and Frances. When he was 6, the family moved to Evanston, Illinois, where he mimicked other people and developed a reputation for pranking. In fact, our celebrity was expelled from Libertyville High School in Libertyville, Illinois. He only excelled at sports and drama and failed at everything else. He was sent to Shattuck Military Academy in Faribault, Minnesota, where his father had also studied. That didn't work out well either, because he almost got expelled from there too, but subsequently decided to drop out. Our celebrity then worked as a ditch digger at a summer job arranged by his father. He tried to enlist in the Army, but a routine physical revealed that a football injury, which he sustained at the academy, left him physically unfit for military service. Don't want to time out the repeater, so I'll be back in just a second. During his acting career, our celebrity earned a reputation as a bad boy for his public outbursts and antics. According to the magazine Los Angeles, he was, quote, rock and roll before anybody knew what rock and roll was, unquote. His behavior during the filming of Mutiny on the Bounty seemed to bolster his reputation as a difficult star. He was blamed for a change in director and a runaway budget, though he denied responsibility for both. On June 12, 1973, he broke the jaw of a paparazzo who followed him after leaving a taping of The Dick Cavett Show in New York City. While acting in Mutiny on the Bounty, the sights and people of Tahiti inspired our celebrity to buy a 12-island atoll on which he built his home and a resort. Unfortunately, a hurricane destroyed much of what he had built in 1983. These are just a few of the things mentioned about our celebrity on Wikipedia. There are 2 call signs this week. The first, Kilo Echo 6 Papa Zulu Hotel, or KE6PZH, to his pseudonym, Martin Brando, BRANDEAUX, which he used to preserve his privacy. In Tahiti, his call sign was Foxtrot Oscar 5 Golf Juliet, or FO5GJ, belonging to Marlon Brando. On July 1st, 2004, at the age of 80, Brando became a silent key due to pulmonary fibrosis with congestive heart failure at the UCLA Medical Center. Kilo Delta 2 Tango Fox Bravo back to net control.
All right, thank you very much, Joe. Always enjoy those. Next up is the section of the net, excuse me, for new users. You may have been on the Reflector before, or may have been on another net before, but if you have not checked into the Tech Net, this is your chance to get up at the front. So if that sounds like you've never been on the Tech Net before, please come now with your call sign. And I saw the Huntsville, Alabama node key up, but you were very broken. You weren't holding the repeater. Any other or any users new to the Tech Net, please come now.
KE2 FLX, Carl, Chickamauga.
The net. All right, Carl in Buffalo, KE2 FLX, we got you. The station on the W5GSW node. We just caught the tail end of your transmission. Could you come back with your full call, please? Yeah, W. The name's Greg, out here in Apex, North Carolina. New to the ECR, definitely new to the Tech Net, and am looking forward to sitting in on it. Back to net control. This is Greg. Have a great night. All right, got most of what you said that time, Greg, but you're coming up in red, so I believe you have checked in with the Tech Net before, so I'll ask you to stick around for the fifth call district this evening. Carl in Buffalo, New York. Go ahead, KE2 FLX. Carl, please introduce yourself and answer tonight's question. Do you read the instruction manuals on your radio equipment?
FLX, yeah, Carl, Chickamauga, and yeah, definitely if I find something I don't understand, I'll look it up for sure. And there's always there's a couple key pushes different on one radio than another.
Thanks for checking in tonight, Carl. Anybody else new to the Tech Net that would like to check in, please come now.
November 6, Quebec Delta Yankee, N6 QDY, Dave in El Dorado Hills, California.
Good evening, Dave. Looks like you've also checked in with us before, so we'll ask you to stand by as well. Final call for any users new to the Tech Net. New users only, please. Last call.
Net control, again, KE4DGP, Dwayne in Millers Creek, North Carolina. First time checking.
2RF, Long Island, New York, first time.
All right, Dwayne, recognize you, KE4DGP. And is it W2RF? Was that the other station that came in there?
W2RF, Whiskey 2, radio frequency.
All right, QSL John, WW2RF. Got you that time. Stand by just for a second. We'll take Dwayne in Millers Creek, North Carolina. Dwayne, it looks like you're new to the TechNet and also new to the Reflector as a whole, so we'll be sending you a welcome letter later this evening after the logs get processed. So be on the lookout for that. KE4DGP, good evening, Dwayne. Go ahead.
Well, good evening to you and everybody on the net. I just found out about this today. I was actually doing something on the internet and found the advertisement on the East Coast Reflector website right there, and when I saw TechNet, I thought, well, this is certainly interesting. So I wanted to check in and just kind of get brought up to speed on how it worked and what was going on and that sort of thing. Normally I sit and listen a couple of times to a UNet before I ever check in, but I was pretty interested, so I thought I'd just go ahead and check in and say hello and get started with it, Gerald.
Sounds good, Dwayne. Glad to have you join us this evening. At the moment, we're taking new users. After we finish up with this section, we'll do the actual question portion of the TechNet, where anybody can bring an amateur radio-related technical question, and we'll throw it out to the group. And then later on after that, we go through a general check-in portion where people that didn't have specific questions can check in under their call sign number, their call sign district. So glad to get you up front, Dwayne, and if you do have a question, we'll bring that up in just a couple minutes. So glad you found us, and please stand by, Dwayne. Glad to have you. John, WW2RF. Good evening, John. Go ahead.
Good evening to you and everybody on the net. This is John in Long Island, New York. Currently transmitting on a handy talkie with a rubber duck at 5 watts. So I don't know how good I'm making it into the machine. But, all right, nice to make your acquaintance. What's your name and location?
And nice to meet you, John. You're doing just fine on your signal there. Held the repeater the whole time. Just a slight bit of noise, maybe 5% at the most, but nothing bad at all. My name is Kevin. The call sign is Kilo Echo 7 Kilo, and I'm located in Portland, Oregon. Our other net controllers this evening are located on the other side of the country in Buffalo, New York. So we're a worldwide system, so you never know who you might hear. So thanks for checking in, John, and please stick around for the rest of the net. Final call for any users new to the TechNet. Please come now.
2E0LRB. That's from the UK.
5, Charlie, Juliet, Chet in Clear Lake.
All right, last 2E0LRV. You're coming up in red here, so I'll have to ask you to stand by. Looks like you have checked in with us before. And is it Kilo 5 Charlie Juliet?
Sure. Juliet, K5CJJ.
All right, QSL Chester. You'll be our last new user of the evening, K5CJJ. Welcome to the TechNet. Do you read the instruction manuals on your radio equipment.
Like a Bible, to follow it.
All right, thanks for checking in, Chester. We caught just the end of your transmission. Sounds like you do read your manual. Not sure you're quite close enough to your repeater to hold it the whole time, but thanks for checking in with us. This is Kevin, KE7K, your net control station for the East Coast Reflector Tech Net. We are up to the question portion of the net this evening. If you have an amateur radio related technical question, please come now with your call sign.
Whiskey 4 Foxtrot, Whiskey November. Whiskey 4 Foxtrot, Whiskey November. Delta 6 Charlie, Whiskey India.
All right, Dan, recognize you, W4FWN, and Ruben, recognize you.
Mike, X-ray.
Ruben, recognize you, KD6CWI, but you've got quite a bit of picket fencing. Hopefully you're in a little bit better spot when I come back to you in a minute. And Craig, K4MMX, also have you in the log. W4FWN, Dan, go ahead with your question. Ruben, KD6CWI, are you?
KD6CWI, I lost audio. Is everything back? KD6, back to net control to confirm.
I think we might have one more shot. Broken.
Kevin, you're all package lost here, Texas.
Well, we'll try to soldier along here. Craig, K4MX, go ahead with your question.
Evening, everyone. Hope you guys can hear me. Seems like there's a black hole somewhere. My question isn't very technical, but it's simple. Where did the term
No response heard on your question there, Craig. On the answer, bring it to us. We've got some issues going on a couple nodes, but we'll keep trying to go here. Anybody else with an amateur radio related technical, please come now.
KK7
Check control. Check in Kilo, Quebec, 4, Oscar, Uniform, X-ray. That's KQ4, OUX. Name is Vince, out of Columbus, North Carolina. Back to net control.
I got KK7JSH and KQ4OUX. Robert, KK7JSH, go ahead with your question.
Z Zulu Sierra Hotel, KK7ZSH. Jason out of Milwaukee, Oregon. I just kind of want to get a little consensus. I'm just starting out in this hobby. A little consensus on the best type of HF antenna out there. You know, something that's not super expensive too.
All right, we got your call sign corrected, KK7ZSH, Jason, Milwaukee, Oregon, just south of me. On the best antenna for HF. KC6UFM. Yeah, Charles, KC6 UFM, go ahead.
Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of packet loss happening, but in any event, Jason, that kind of depends on who you ask. The way it goes with antennas is the person you ask what is the best antenna, it's going to be the one that they use, regardless of what it is. But it kind of depends a lot of it on are you looking for a single band or are you looking for multi-band operation, Jason?
Well, I'm probably looking for more of a multi-band. Right now, being a technician, I can only get into 6 and 10 meter, a little slice of 10 meter, I believe. But I do plan on upgrading, and I would like to, get into some of the little higher frequency, or excuse me, lower frequency bands. So probably a multi-band. Probably also because I don't want 13 antennas on my roof. KK7 CSH.
Okay, yeah, I understand that part, but I still have 13 antennas on my roof. But in any event, Jason, depending upon how much room you have, for a multi-band starter antenna, you can't go wrong with an end-fed half-wave type antenna. You can get those that the lowest frequency of operation commonly found is either 160, 80, or 40 meters, and most of them will go up to at least 10 meters and even into 6 meters, which just FYI, 6 meters is not considered HF, that's VHF, but they do require quite a bit of space to string them up in the air. And the lower the frequency band, the longer they get. But they do work well, especially if you have a radio that has a built-in tuner. If you don't have a whole lot of space, there are a number of verticals out there that will also do the trick for you, but they tend to be quite pricey. Well over $400 and $500. Some of them even pushing $1,000. Whereas the end-fed half-wave, generally well under $200 for those. So it just kind of depends on how much room you have, how much of a budget you have, and what is the lowest frequency that you want to operate on. So back over to you, Kevin. This is KC6 UFM.
All right, thank you, Charles. Anybody else with a comment about Jason's questions regarding HF antennas?
KK7HLD.
And Dave, 7HLD, go ahead.
Hey there. Thank you very much. I gotta have to say I agree with him. Only I just bought some wire, copper antenna wire, and made my own end-fed. It's just almost 20 meter or 40 meter. It's end-fed. I have an LDD tuner, which is a couple $100 or more, and like $39 for a onion. And I've gotten, until my antenna went down, I got to get it put back up again. I've gotten 47 of the 50 states. I got to admit, it doesn't tune 6 very well, only tunes 10 perfect. It does not tune 160 hardly at all, but I have made contacts on 80. And you're not talking about a ton of money there. The only thing is, you do need some space because it's, 65 feet long or something. KK7HLD.
All right, Dave, thank you for your comment there. Jason, hope that proves helpful, and good luck with your antenna. Vincent, KQ4OUX, go ahead with your question, please.
Good evening, everybody on the net. Yeah, my question is with Echolink. When you're looking at the map and you see all those dots for various parts of the country, including, like I said, the United States, and you click on them and they keep on coming back and telling you that they're not available, is there a problem either with the node itself, or is there a problem just that these nodes are not, turned on or whatever? I'm going to have a lot of problems. I have a whole list here where I print out different things for different days, and out of the list, like I said, you can have maybe 10 or 20 different things on Tuesday between 8 and 10 p.m., and when you go to them, a good portion of them say they're not available. Is there a problem there? Can you tell me?
Well, I'll throw it out to the group. If you're working on a printed out list, that might be your problem. They might have been available when you printed it out, but not available now. But anybody run into notes of Echolink app coming up as not available? Well, Vincent, not sure we're going to be able to answer your question this evening, but perhaps somebody just can't respond, and we'll get an answer later. Maybe you'll figure it out and come back and let us know, but sorry we couldn't get you an answer right now. This is KE7K with the East Coast Reflector Tech Net. You're still open for amateur radio-related technical questions. Please come now with your call sign.
WI.
All right, good evening, Ruben. Let's try it again. KD6CWI.
Thank you, Net Control, for doing the net tonight. You're doing great. Yeah, like what Charles said, there's some packet loss. So I went on my main radio right now. So the question is, on the DX Commander antenna, when you're tuning the wires from the different bands, when you get a high SWR, it means you have to lengthen the wire to get it lower. That's the first question. Second question is, when you change, it's a 7-band DX Commander. So it's 80 meters on an L shape. There's like 60 meters going up and down, 40 going up and down, and 40 is harmonic to 15, and I think 10, and 2 and 70, and then there's a 60 meter and an 80 meter element. So once you change the setting on one band, it automatically changes the rest. So you just have to play with it to get the minimum out of the 7 bands. But the initial question I have is, if you have a high SWR, do you lengthen it or shorten it? I'm presuming it's lengthening it, but only in increments. We're talking about inches or less than an inch. I'll bring it back to you, Net Control. Thank you for taking my call. KD6CWI.
KC6UFM.
Yeah, good luck, Charles. Go ahead.
Thank you again, Kevin. Ruben, I may have missed it. You may have given the answer, but I missed it. When you say you have a high SWR, at which end of the band is it high?
Okay, let's do 80 meters. 80 meters is high. Go ahead, Charles.
Okay, is it high at 3.5 megahertz or is it high at 4 megahertz?
I think it's high on the 4 megahertz. I'll double check it. I'll bring it back to you.
Okay, because that makes all the difference in the world, Ruben. If your SWR is low at the low end of the band and high at the high end of the band, then your antenna is just a little bit too long. If it's high at the low end of the band and lower at the high end of the band, then it's a little bit too short. So, it makes a difference. Now, as far as the DX Commander is concerned, those things are famous for being nightmares to tune. Every time you do something to one band, it impacts all the others. Best thing you can do is just try and take a Valium or two and sit down there and keep playing with it. Eventually, you'll get it to an acceptable point all the way across, but it may not be super great all the way across all bands. But again, you need to figure out where it is high and where it is low within a particular band before you start changing things. Does that make sense to you, Ruben?
Charles, thank you very much on that information on the second part. You're absolutely correct. Every word you said was absolutely 200% correct. Now, on the 80 meter band at 3.803, it's 2.1. At 3.9, it's 2.1. At 4, it's 3.1. So at 4, it went up, 1. And then the 38 and the 39 is at 2.1. So do you shorten it to get it lower? Back to you, Charles. This is the last one.
Yeah, absolutely, Ruben. Just shorten it a little bit, and as you said, be very careful and shorten it by tiny amounts. And I'm assuming you're using an analyzer or a VNA. Shorten it by tiny amounts and watch what it does. But then be prepared. Once you get 80 meters where you want it, be prepared to go back through everything else and double check all those. So back over to you, Kevin, KC6 UFM.
All right, thank you, Charles. Yeah, it sounds like high SWR doesn't necessarily mean you have to lengthen it or shorten it. It just depends on where it is in the rest of the band. So thanks for that explanation. And if this packet loss keeps going on, I may need a couple of those Valiums. So I'm good on QRZ if you're sitting on a couple extra. Anybody with your radio related technical question, please come down.
2E0LRV. That's from the UK.
Well, last I saw you key up a minute ago and forgot to mention you too. LRV, go ahead with your question.
2E0LRV. Yeah, I think there's a lot of packet loss going on as well, so I wasn't quite sure if I was getting through. A little bit of a two-part question. Antennas. I've got one pole that I can put antennas on, and I want to put up two different vertical antennas. One for the sort of VHF, UHF, and one for the HF. So I was going to put like a crossbar on the top. How far apart do I have to space these antennas? In other words, how long
Squelch
do I
1, it was on Squelch 0, so I wanted to see if I'm hearing things okay on Squelch 1, and right now it sounds good. Thank you very much. J5, BBZ.
On the pump-up mast. I want to put a Yagi antenna on the rotor.
rotator with a collinear over the top. So the second part is how far apart do I need to put those on the vertical side, so with the Yagi and the vertical. So I've had several conflicting answers, and I seem to be going round in circles. So I would really appreciate some sort of definitive answer from the net. So back to net control from 2E0 LRV.
All right, last before I pass you off to our trusty brain trust in Charles, let me just verify a couple things. What were the two bands that you're trying to mount on the same pole? And are you trying to separate them horizontally or vertically on the pole?
2E0 LRV. The first part was two vertical antennas on a horizontal cross pole at the top of the pole that I've got. So I need to see how far apart how long I need to make the crossbar to keep the two vertical antennas apart. They're both, one is an HF and one is a 2 and 7T collinear. So completely different antennas. But that was the question. And the other part then was a vertical setup with the Yagi on the top of the rotator, and then on the top of that pole that the Yagi is on, I want to put a 2 and 7T collinear. Do I need to space those to any particular thing to keep them away from the mast? So hopefully that clarifies it from 2E0 LRV.
Okay, I think I got most of that, so yeah, go ahead, Charles, KC6UFM.
Sorry about that, Kevin. Yeah, this is Charles, KC6UFM. Yeah, Les, the two that you're wanting to mount on the crossbar, well, for all of them, the correct answer is to get them as far apart as you possibly can. With that being said, we can look at the real world. For an HF and a VHF UHF on a crossbar like that, assuming that you are not wanting to use both antennas at the same time, if you're only going to use one of them at a time, if you can get about 6 or 8 feet between those, basically, a wave and a half to 2 wavelengths at 2 meters away, they're probably going to be okay. You might have a little bit of a null in the direction of the other antenna, but probably not going to be too dramatic. As far as the Yagi and the collinear at the top of the mast, you're in great shape there because mounted one over the other like that, they interfere less with each other. They're out of each other's radiation pattern for the most part. Again, more is better, but I'm assuming that the Yagi is going to also be a VHF, UHF antenna, and if it is horizontally polarized on the Yagi, you could put those within just a couple of feet of each other. But if the Yagi is vertically polarized, I would try and get at least 6 feet above the Yagi for the collinear. Back over to you, Kevin. KC6 UFM.
All right, thank you, Charles. Left, does that help you out?
2E0 LRV returning. Yes, no, thank you, Charles. Yeah, that's quite a nice definitive answer. So yes, so 6 to 8 feet for the crossbar. I'd probably need to add some bracing to that to keep it steady, because I don't think the clamps will hold it at that length. But yeah, and as for the other one, yes, it's going to be horizontally polarized on the Yagi, and the other one on top. to start with, but I've actually got some louver actuators, which I'm thinking of incorporating with the mounting of the Yagi, so I can basically switch it 90 degrees from horizontal to vertical, but that's way in the future yet. So thank you very much for that, Charles. That's certainly answered the questions in a definitive way. And I'll get the one on the mast, so I'll get the two vertical and the Yagi up. And we'll worry about the crossbar one a little bit later. Might need to go and buy some more tubing for that. So thank you very much, Charles, and back to net control. That's the question answered.
And thanks for the question, Les. Final call for amateur-related technical questions. All right, nothing heard. Let's see if Kevin VE3BZ up in Canada has anything on the swap and shop this evening. Go ahead, Kevin.
Well, thank you, Kevin, and good evening, everyone. I've got a few listings tonight. Starting off with Chris N1KZQ in Nashua, New Hampshire. Chris is looking to purchase an ICOM ID 5100. Contact him by email at chrisg1071@gmail.com or by phone at 603-722-0486. Next up we have Joe, W07X in Portland, Oregon. Joe has a Yaesu FTDX 3000D for sale. He's asking $1,150 or best offer. Contact Joe by email at joe at wo7x.com, and he's also good on QRZ. Next item is from Steve, W3ATN in Middletown, Maryland. Steve is selling a Heil HTH single-sided headset for ICOM radios, handy talkies to be specific. Lightly used and works perfectly. These sell new for $35 to $40. He is asking $20 with free shipping within North America. Contact Steve by email at w3atn@arrl.net. And Steve is also good on QRZ. Let me drop for a sec. Alright, and our last listing is from Danny K5CG in Plano, Texas. Danny has a Yaesu FT2DR handheld in mint condition. It comes with 66 channel GPS with antenna, 1200 BPS or 9600 BPS APRS, dual watch, dual monitor, C4 FM and log, the GPS logging and recording capabilities, water resistance with APX5 rating. The package comes complete with two SBR 14Li batteries, lithium-ion battery packs, 7.2 volts to 2200 milliamp hours, one factory rubber duck antenna, one FBA 39 3x AA battery case, one SAD 18B AC adapter, one factory USB cable, one factory manual, and one factory box. but there's more. It also comes with one Nagoya NA771 high-performance rubber duck antenna, one 32 gigabyte SD card, one CD-41 drop-in charger, one SSM63A headset, one SCU19 CAT interface cable, one RT Systems ADMS FT2D software with license, and one RT Systems USB-68 programming cable, and one Nifty guide. $400 for the complete package, plus shipping within the continental United States. And what's my time? I got lots of time. And he accepts cash, personal check, USPS or Walmart money order. And Danny's contact email is k5cg@hamoperator.org. And I was wrong before. I have one more listing after. Okay, hopefully I didn't time anything out there. This is our last listing for this evening. Gil, K4GDS in Orlando, Florida, has the Ultimate Yaesu FT70D bundle for sale. Includes the FT70D radio, transmit and receive VHF, UHF, amateur bands, and air bands, receive only. Full duplex MMDVM Pi-Star hotspot, the Yaesu SSM-17H speaker mic, rapid charger USB charging cable, asking $375, and Gil's email is k4gds@icloud.com, or by phone at 407-342-2424. All right, that's it. If you have anything for sale, trade, or want, just go to eastcoastreflector.com, click on Contact ECR, and go to SwapNet Submissions, or just send me an email at ve3bz@rogers.com. All right, Kev, back to you, VE3BZ.
Alrighty, thank you, Kevin. This is Scott W2BLT. Kevin had to walk away for a little bit here. It's time to take check-ins anyways. We go by the number in your call sign. Today we start with the 7s and go right up through the 6s, because the 6s were first last week. And then we'll do late and missed. I'll take the first half of the check-ins, and then we'll turn it over to WB2JPQ Dick, and he'll take you out through the rest of the night. We're going to, like I said, we're going to start with the 7s. We have none by the text line. So if you have a 7 in your call sign, please come now. K7HLD, Kilo 7, Hotel Lima Delta, Dave in Portland, Oregon.
Kilo 7 ZSH, Kilo 7 Zulu Sierra Hotel, Jason, Milwaukee, Oregon.
Alrighty, recognizing KK7HLD, Dave, and KK. Alrighty, let's go to Dave out in Portland, Oregon, KK7HLD. Question of the evening. Do you read the instruction manuals on your radio equipment? Good evening, Dave. KK7HLD. Yes, I do. Matter of fact, I have all of the manuals on my phone, along with my 7,000 or 8,000 other books and manuals for everything in the house. I also have manuals for my friends' radios because I like to be able to help them out if I can. I'm not big on using the programming software, so I have to program everything. Well, I don't have to, but I want to program everything manually. So the manual's a good thing. KK7HLD.
Alrighty, Dave, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Have yourself a good rest of your evening there. KK7ZSH, Jason in Milwaukee, Oregon. One of our Morning Brew listeners and question suggesters. Good evening, Jason.
Good evening to everybody on the net. I'm glad to hear that somebody got that question. I wasn't up that early this morning. I don't know if that question got read or not, but thank you for that. 73 to everybody. Do I read the manual on my radio? Well, I'm real new in this, and I'm just talking a little HT right now, and yeah, I read the manual. Trust me, I had to. And my brother's letting me borrow when I get it set up a nice Yaesu. I think it's 975 or 8, something like that. And I've seen the manual, and holy cow, I have to read that thing. So, yeah, I read them. KK7, ZSH, back to you.
Alrighty, thanks, Jason. And yes, your question was used this morning. And everybody thought it was a good question, I guess. Have a great evening, and thanks for joining us. We'll move on to the 8s, and via the text line, we have W8CRW, CR, and we have KA8BYU, Roy and Blaisdell. Who else do we have out there with an 8 in your call sign? Please come now.
M8OAY, Dave, Huntsville, Alabama.
Kilo Golf 8, Julia Lima. Kilo Golf 8, Julia Lima. In and out, sir. Thank you.
Alrighty, recognizing a KG8JL, Jason in the Plains, Ohio, and Dave that came in there. Could you give your call sign again, please?
N8OAY, November 8, Oscar Alpha Yankee.
All right, we got it that time, David, N8OAY in Huntsville. Anyone else with an 8 in your call sign? Last call for the 8s, please come now.
88KF. 88KF.
Yeah, that last station that tried to get in there, not sure where you are, but you're not making repeater. We did get KD8KF Howard. Looks like you're new to the system down in New Philadelphia, Ohio. Let's run this list. Let's go up to CR, W8CRW in Unionville, PA. Good evening, CR, and do you read the manuals on your radio equipment?
Good evening, all on the Tech Net. Affirmative. I read the manuals. I also watch YouTube
for those issues where the manual is not very clear. So, yes, YouTube and the manuals, got to have them for the new radios. Back to net.
Thanks, CR, and if you're like me, you have to have them for the old radios, too. Have a good evening. Thanks for joining us, as always. Next up, Roy, KA8BYU, down in Blaisdell, New York. Good evening, Roy.
Evening, everyone. KA8BYU. Oh, yeah, I have the paper copies of all the manuals for all the radios, and I also have them all on my laptop, and the most pertinent ones on my tablet. So yeah, I definitely keep them around. I also have a couple of the nifty manuals for some of the more difficult radios, make it a little easier to remember the steps for programming something. Back to you.
Alrighty, thank you, Roy. Have yourself a great evening, and maybe we'll hear you in the morning. N8OAY, David, Huntsville, Alabama. Good evening.
One on the net. Yes, I definitely, absolutely, positive the manual. Can't live without them. I even print the pages out for some of the PDFs that I don't have print copies for.
Alrighty, David, we'll put you down for a yes there, and have yourself a great evening. Next up, KG8JL, Jason, in the Plains, Ohio. Good evening.
This is KG5EGD, Alvin, over here in Jerseyville. No traffic.
If you've got a 5 in your call station, you might want to wait. We're looking for KG8JL, Jason.
Me to talk, but thank you anyway, and yes, I do read the manuals for stuff. I've got the programming software and everything for the 878 radio I'm talking on right now. That's what enables me to get on analog and use the little stereo hotspot I have, the stereo board. Later on, KG8JL.
Alrighty, thanks for joining us, Jason. We appreciate it. Next up, Kilo Delta 8, Kilo Foxtrot. Howard in New Philadelphia, Ohio. Looks like you're new to the system. Welcome. KD8KF, Howard, are you still with me? I don't know if anybody can hear me now. Looking for KD8KF, Howard in Philadelphia, New Ohio. Can you hear me?
VA3XOE, XOE, VA3ZRS.
You're in the middle of a net right now. If you could hold on for a little while, we'd appreciate it. Looking for KD8KF, Howard, New Philadelphia, Ohio. Well, I don't know if it's me. Let's go to the 9s and take the 9s. We'll come back to Howard there. If you have a 9 in your call sign, please come now.
And this is 9Y4DX. 9 Yankee 4, Delta X-ray Bertrand.
Alrighty, recognize 9Y4DX Bertrand. Anyone else with a 9 in your call sign, please come now. With nothing heard, I think everybody's hearing me now. Let me go back, and there was a Kilo Delta 8 station in there that I haven't been in contact with yet. Kilo Delta 8, if you tried to get in and I didn't acknowledge you, please come now. I would just mark him as in and out and move along. And our lone 9 tonight, Bertrand down in Trinidad and Tobago, 9Y4DX. Good evening, Bertrand, and do you read the instruction manuals on your radio equipment?
Well, pleasant evening to you, Net Patrol. This is 9Y4DX. Bertrand, my location, Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. Let me extend a pleasant evening to all of the stations. Hope everyone is doing well and keeping warm. Well, Trinidad and Tobago today, we had a lot of showers. The temperature was supposed to go up to around 83. However, it stayed lower because of the rain. And in addition to the rain, we had some Sahara dust. So that is the situation here at the moment. Temperature at this time, 79 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, with respect to the question, I always tell my family, especially those close to me, the ex-YL and others, that you ought to read the manual first, get to know the equipment, and then you can use the equipment. So that is the way I go. Wherever I have, whatever it is, I try to get down to the manual and understand the equipment. So that's it from me, back to that controls that. This is 9Y4DX.
Alrighty, Bertrand, good to hear you tonight, and as always, thanks for checking in, and have yourself a great week. We'll talk to you next week. Alrighty, this is W2BLT. That's going to do it for the 9s. Let's go to the 0s. And via the text line, I think we have one. We have KN0LZE. And who else do we have with a 0 in your call sign? Please come now. 2E0LRV. November 0, Mike Sierra Sierra, M0MSS. Alrighty, we hold it up there, recognizing N0. MSS, Ross and Wappet, North Dakota. We had 2E0 LRV and KN0LZE. Anyone else with a 0, please come now. Well, with nothing heard, let's go to the top of this list. Question of the evening. is, do you read the instruction manuals on your radio equipment? Let's go up to KN0LZE, Todd in Redstone Arsenal, Alabama. Good evening, Todd.
Good evening. I do not read my manuals for my electronics. Leaning heavily on the YouTube testimonies and unboxing. I do keep the manuals around for reference, but I don't normally go right into them as a matter of course.
Alrighty, you know it is, Todd, and thanks for joining us tonight. We appreciate it. Next up, 2E0LRV Les in Redditch, Worcestershire, England. Good evening.
2E0LRV. What was I going to say? Manuals, yes. HF radios, no, I don't read them. I just plug the radio in and away I go. The VHF, UHF stuff, I have to read the manual to find out how to program repeaters in. And I must admit, from my experience, it's easier to do with an ICOM radio. The manuals are a lot clearer. They're a lot better laid out than Yaesu. Trying to program a repeater in on the Yaesu requires 3 or 4 different chapters in the manual. Why they can't put it all together in one place, like ICOM do, I don't know. But antennas, no, never bother reading the manuals for those. Mind you, most of them are not worth the time and effort because they're really useless. So when it comes to antennas, then I'm afraid the go-to is YouTube, because that works better. I know somebody was asking about antennas earlier, and I was going to recommend, I thought about it, but I was struggling to get it because of the noise. Was it CG3000? A random length of wire. The only thing you have to make sure of is that it's not a resonant length. And that tunes remarkably quickly, very, very swift. You know, a fraction of a second. Very good. But yes, manuals, HF, no, don't read those until I hit a problem.
It's 4 agencies together to form one at Transtar.
Even then, sometimes I have to refer to YouTube. And antennas, well, just forget it. They're not worth usually the single sheet of paper they're printed on. 2E0LRV.
Alrighty, thank you, Les. Have yourself a great evening over there. N0MSS, Ross in Wahpeton, North Dakota. Good evening, Ross.
Yeah, good evening, Scott, and everybody on the net. Typically, I do not read the manuals, but if I get stumped, I will thumb through them and try and find the issue I'm having and try and get it fixed. And sometimes I do the YouTube videos too, so yeah, kind of like most everybody, it sounds like. Have a good evening, N0MSS, Wahpeton, clear.
Thank you, Ross. Have yourself a great evening, and thanks for joining us. Alrighty, this is W2BLT. Let's go to the ones. If you have a 1 in your call sign, please come now.
Charlie 1, Juliet Papa Delta. Kilo Charlie 1, Juliet Papa Delta.
Charlie Kilo.
November 1, Whiskey Echo Bravo. November 1, Whiskey Echo Bravo. Already recognizing N1 WEB Web, KC1 JPD Jeffrey And we had one that ended in VCK, I believe. Could you come back with your call sign twice, please? Was that K2 ECK?
OCK, Whiskey 1, Oscar Charlie Kilo.
Christopher, we got it that time. Anyone else with a 1 in your call sign, please come now. Last call for the 1s.
This is November Juliet 1 Sierra, NJ1S Eric in Shelburne, Vermont. With a check-in only.
Alrighty, we got NJ1S was in and out tonight. Eric up in Shelburne. Thanks for joining us, Eric. Let's go up to KC1 JPD Jeffrey in Milton, Vermont. Good evening, Jeffrey, and the question of the evening is, do you read the instruction manuals on your radio equipment?
Good evening, Scott, Vicky, and everyone on the net. You can put me down for a yes. My philosophy is get a new radio, plug it in, screw it up, and then pull out the manual and spend an evening reading and figuring out how to fix your radio. That's a little bit of a joke, but hope everyone has a great night and have a great night. This is KC1 JPD. Back to you.
Hey, Jeff, it sounds like me. I watch 5 YouTube videos on something when I buy it, and if I can get something that 4 out of 5 of them do the same, then that's a keeper. I guess the way I go through it. Have a good evening. W1 OCK, Christopher in Buffalo, New York. Good evening.
OCK, Chris in Buffalo, New York. I generally don't read my manuals. I keep them for reference material, but I generally don't read them.
Alrighty, thanks for joining us, Christopher, and have a good evening. Next up, N1, WEB, Webb, down in Collierville, Tennessee. Good evening, Webb.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Vicky, and good evening to the net. Yeah, put me down as a yes. Not only do I read the manuals, I usually download them too and try to store the PDF someplace on my computer so I can find it someday. Just one of my strange habits. N1 WEB, back to net.
Alrighty, thank you, Webb. Appreciate you joining us, and you have yourself a great evening. That's going to do it for me, folks. Dick's going to take you through the rest of the night. Everyone have a great evening, and appreciate you checking in with me tonight. This is W2BLT, and thanks for Vicky on the log. It's all yours, Dick.
Well, thank you, Scott. Thank you, Kevin, if you're still there. I guess Kevin's listening. This is Dick, WB2JPQ. Sorry about all the problems tonight. We're beginning to think that the day is looping. This seems to happen on Tuesday nights. We can have 5 morning brews with more connections than we have tonight and not have a problem. And lately we've been having a problem on Tuesday, so we believe it's somebody that connects on Tuesday. At least I do anyway. Something is happening on Tuesday night. So I think thanks David for getting it straightened out. I don't know if he's got something to jump in here and say, but if he does, just jump in, David. So let's go to Randy, W2RBC, West Seneca, New York. And our question tonight is, do you read the instruction manuals on your radio equipment? And I know Randy's answer. He's a reader, so I'm sure Randy reads from cover to cover.
Good evening, Dick, Vicky, and everyone on the Tech Net. Yes, I read every manual cover to cover. I wouldn't not even think about not doing it because I'd miss too much of the functions that are on the radios. I also have all my PDF manuals on my computer. Back to net control, 73 to all, W2, RBC.
Randy, that's my weakness. I don't like reading, and I've got radios here that I've had for 20 years. I've never ever run a manual. But if I need to know something, I can go in and know where to find it. But I don't think I've ever sat down and read a manual cover to cover in my life. Hey, good evening to Bob, KD2JPP.
Hey, well, good evening, Dick, and everybody else on the net. As far as tonight's question, I always read the manuals, maybe not cover to cover, but I do read them before I start pushing buttons and doing something wrong. So just take a quick look at them. Everybody stay safe and have a great week. Back to net control.
Take all the fun out of ham radio, Bob. Good to talk to you. ECR, Cheektowaga, New York.
Good evening, Dick. Good evening, everybody on the net. I read the ones, I'll put it this way, I read the ones that I can. Some of the radio manuals are useless, unreadable. But the ones that I can read, I do. 7-3, all have a great week.
He's got you down for comic book edition. Thanks, Andy. Hello, Chuck, W2EM.
Good evening, Dick, Vicki, Scott, and the rest of the crew here. Yeah, these new radios, the new ones they got a lot of nooks and crannies in them, and there's a lot to them. And so I download all the PDFs. I read the ones that I'm going to be using and store the other ones. And if I need to go back and pick up some details, you know, I know where to get it. But yeah, you can put me down as yes. Anyway, turn it back to net, 73, W2EM.
Thanks, Chuck. Next up is our good buddy, W2SAL. Good evening, Sal.
Good evening, Godfather. Quick hello to Chuck and Andy out there from the Lancaster group. There's times I do read the manual. Most times it's in that foreign language, and you have to start at the back of the book and read it forward. With that, that's what I'll say, and you can put me down in the comic book category. 7-3, everyone, back to net control.
Well, thank you, Sal. We just go to QRZ, put Godfather in and see what happens. Next up's another one of our good buddies, Bill. 2BH. Hi, Bill.
Hey, good evening, Dick and everybody. Yeah, not cover to cover, but I read them. Every manufacturer has different menus and different ways of doing stuff, so you almost have to anymore. N2BH.
Thank you, Bill. See you in the morning. Those were the text check-ins. I probably should have taken radio check-ins, but Vicki already had those up here under the 2, so I'll work with that list. So who do we have in the second call district, or with a 2 in your call sign? Call sign twice. This is Dick, WB2JPQ.
CJM, W2, CJM, in and out. W2, KJV, W2, KJV.
KD2, WBZ, KD2, WBZ.
KJ5, JSL, Kilo Juliet 5, Juliet Sierra Lima, and QRZ should be updated this time around for emails.
3 you grab it here for a minute? The KJ5, we're doing the 2s. We're doing the 2s. 5s will be up here in a couple of call districts, so we'll ask. I got good evening to Charles, W2CJM. I want to say good morning to you, Charles, because we usually do. One of the morning group. We got you in and out tonight. We got Tony, and we got Bob in Cortland, New York. Anybody else with a 2 in their call sign? Nothing. I guess most of the 2s were text check-ins. Good evening to you, Tony, W2KJV.
Good evening, Dick, Vicky, Scott, everyone on the Tech Net tonight. Tony here in Homosassa, Florida. I don't start off reading the manual, but I end up reading it, Dick. That's my story. Back to you. Hope everyone has a great night and a better tomorrow. W2KJV.
Thanks, Tony. Hello, Bob, Cortland, New York, KD2WBZ. How are you tonight, Bob?
The question. I paid $1,500 for a Yaesu FTZX10, and darn straight I'm going to read the manual cover to cover. Over.
Read your cover to cover. Well, good for you, Bob. Let's go not too far from Cortland. Let's swing down a little bit to Wayland, New York. KE2CXQ. Hi, Dan. KE2CXQ. Bob in Wayland, New York. Are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Had a minor problem over here. Go ahead with your question.
I totally not going to even ask you to come back until you turn your audio down. Vicky's wearing headsets. You just blew her eardrums out. Boy, you're just, terrible. So turn your audio down, Dan. It's very, very, very loud, and you had a terrible squeal, feedback.
Sorry about that. Had another radio on that shouldn't have been on. Sorry, Vicky. As far as reading manuals, yes, I do. I'll check out the initial setup phase, and then I'll try and do a chapter a day until I get to the end of the book. Back to that K2CXQ clear.
Really need to turn your audio down. You're extremely hot. All right, let's move on to stations in the 3rd call district or with a 3 in their call sign. Number 3s, call signs twice and slowly.
Whiskey Baker 3, Golf Tango Mike. WB3GTM.
Victor Echo 3, India, Quebec Uniform, VE3IQU.
Wow, that call district's pretty light tonight. We got Jim in Easton, KD3ATQ. We got Reg, VE3IQU, and Mike, WB3GTM. Hi, Mike. Good evening to you, WB3GTM. What about you in reading the manuals?
Good evening, Dick, and everyone on the net tonight. Mike, WB3GTM. Great to hear you, Dick. I
try to scan through the manuals, the online version of the manuals, I guess, really quick. It all depends, and there's a lot of dependencies, I guess. If I'm waiting for a new high-end radio or something, and if I'm waiting for it, I might watch some YouTubes and scan through the manual briefly to familiarize myself with it, and the moment I get it, I'm able to jump on it, dive into it. Otherwise, I usually just get the radio, turn it on, and start playing, and go from there. Maybe do a search on a particular feature. I might need to get some information on how to operate if it has some really cool new feature of some sort. I wonder, you mentioned about having some 20-year-old radios. Have you figured out how to operate those 20-year-old radios yet? I can go back to some of my old radios. They're probably harder to operate than some of the newer radios, especially the way the memory and menus were organized. Hey, thanks for checking me in. Thanks for running in ECR Tech 73. I'm back to net control. This is WP3GTM.
Mike, you know me. I'm old school. I got to have knobs, switches, relays. I don't believe in balls or any of that stuff. I'm old school. Thanks for being there. Hi, Reg. VE3IQU.
Hello, good evening, Dick. Everybody on the red net tonight. And I'm old school too, but maybe it's because I was in IT for a number of years, but I tend to read manuals. I do not read them cover to cover. No, that's a waste of time. But turn it up, open it up, and see how to set your programming up. Do this, do that, do the other thing, but generally I use it as a reference book, and I don't like having to mess things up and then try to figure out how to resolve it, so it's a whole lot easier to learn how to do it right the first time. Anyhow, aside from that, things are good here for the most part. Wife and I are okay, kind of, sort of, and hope you're doing the same there, my friend. Anyhow, we'll toss it back to you. Hope everyone around the net tonight is having fun. There's enough seriousness in life, as we know, even especially now between your country and this country. So we don't need any more of that crap. So gotta have some fun. And if we can do it with our American neighbors and friends, so much the better. Back to you there, Dick. V3IQU.
Hey, thank you, Reg. And they always have a factory reset on every radio, and that can be your salvation. Play with it, screw it up, always go back to factory reset. Oh, Jim, KD2ATQ in Easton, Pennsylvania.
Good evening, Dick, Vicky, and the group. You can put me down as a reader. That's one of the first things that I do is correct the manual, get an idea. Maybe not cover to cover the first time. Might go through the startup. And then after that, I will read it cover to cover. I know that's boring, but that's how I get most of my information. Back to you, Dick. KD3ATQ.
Thanks, Jim. Hope to see you a week from Thursday, I guess, not this coming Thursday. Let's go to the floors. Oh, my friend Les from Claremont, Florida, KK4SED, via the text line.
Good evening, KQ4OUX, Kilo, Quebec 4, Oscar, Uniform, X-Ray. Back to net control.
Whiskey 4 Foxtrot, Whiskey November. Whiskey 4 Foxtrot, Whiskey November.
W4 PPX. W4 PPX.
I do have you, Dan. I got KQ4, KQ4OUX and W4PPX. I'll take the fours as long as it's normally the way they do it. But these guys were popped up here on the text check-in. So who else do I have other than who I have on the text check-ins? We got Les, we got Chris, we got Brian, we got Scott, and we got Mike from Huntsville. All text check-ins. Who else do we have? Radio check-ins in the number 4, 4th call district.
KO4FRR, KO4FRR.
That's you, Joe, KO4FRR. Anybody that I did not acknowledge left in the 4th call district? Well, on the 40, we'll go up to Les in Claremont. Hi, Les, KK4SED. Heard from Les. How about Chris in Parrish, Florida? KQ4GLY. Q4GLY. Chris, are you with us?
KQ4GLY.
Chris, I doubled with you a minute. Go ahead. How about you and reading the instruction manuals?
Yes, Dick. I read the manuals before I use the radio. KQ4GLY, back to you.
They're taking all the fun out of ham radio. No smoke, no fire, just... Oh. Thanks, Chris. Hi, Brian. Monticello, Kentucky, KK4JPW.
Good evening. Hello, everybody on the net. As for that, I don't generally read too much in the manuals. I do highlights, but after 23 years in IT, I generally am well versed in winging it. So usually it was lucky if we had a manual. So, but I keep them around just in case reference.
Hi, Brian. It's just Brian Laser was pulling his chain in the Zoom room. Thanks, Brian. Scott, Memphis, Tennessee, KY4MB. How you doing, buddy?
Well, hi there, Godfather, and everybody on the net. And hi to Brother Randall. He's there listening, coming up in the 5s. Well, I just turned the radio on and spin the little knobs there, Dick, and see what happens. Hi. Well, seriously, yes, I do try to read the manuals, and I had to get one out for this old Alinco this week. I actually still had the old manual for it, so that worked out great. But I go to YouTube as well. Sometimes that's necessary, and vision that works sometimes better for me. Thanks for the net. Thanks to Miss Vicky. Talk to everybody in the morning. 7-3 is KY4NB. Back to net.
Scott, I'm first up tomorrow, so get up early. Thanks for being there. Mike in Huntsville, Alabama, KW4SOG.
Vicky, everybody else out there, hope everyone is doing well. What's a manual? Seriously, I skim them, but I generally don't read them, but I do keep them handy in case I need to go look something up. KW4SOG, back to net, 73, everybody.
Oh, Mike, you want to get the pages all soiled and wrinkled? Thanks for being there. Dan in Sanford, W4FW1. Hi, Dan.
Well, hello, Dick, and everyone else on the net. W4FWN. Yeah, I definitely read the manual, especially with all the buttons and everything on the newer stuff. You don't push it in the right sequence, you don't get what you want. And also, I read the notes. I try to read the little notes, the little nice print down at the bottom. It says, "Do not do this." That's probably saved me more times than not. But yes, I do read the manuals. Back to net control, W4FWN.
There you go, Dan. Little notes on the bottom you want to highlight, right? Thanks for being here every week. Vincent, Columbus, North Carolina, KQ4QUX.
Good evening, everybody. KQ4OUX. Yes, in the beginning, I used to cruise through those manuals pretty definitely, like I said, and not page to page, but, you know, just kind of cruising through them. But after after the 8th radio that I purchased, it kind of been repetitious, I mean, so I kind of breezed through them. The new radios that I just picked up, well, that's a little bit different. Those radios have a lot of new features in them, and like I said, not in the old manuals. So, yeah, you got to read through the manuals, like I said. You don't have to go through from page to page till the end, but cruise through it, like I said, and pick up, you know, all the new features out of it. Other than that, like I said, I would say, you know, it's important to read through manuals. This is KQ4OUX, Vince, back to net control.
Thank you, Vincent. Next up is Don from Hollywood. I think Seymour's going to go up tomorrow. We need to reboot that node, Don. We can't do that remotely. It's been acting up. We've been having trouble connecting and disconnecting, so I think Seymour's going to go up tomorrow. W4PPX.
Vicky, everybody on that. Yeah, I don't know whether Seymour's a good choice. You never know. But I hope he gets it fixed. I use RTC for most of my programming, and to fine-tune, I'll do the manual and look it up. Other than that, everything's been a good day for me today. So 7-3 to everybody. Catch you in the morning brew. W4PPX. Back to you.
I think he can handle it. He's just got to pull the power on the node. That should reboot it all right. Thanks, Don. Next up, Joe, KO4FRR. Hi, Joe.
Well, good evening, Dick, Vicky, and everybody else. This is Joe, KO4FRR. No, I do not read the manual. I just go for it and see what I can miss. I think you were saying if the radio doesn't promote, you did something wrong. I'll talk to you later. KO4FR.
Thanks, Joe. Hobbs, New Mexico. Hi, Bill. KI5PMI.
Yes, I read the manuals. I've got there's one you can go on most websites and print off. That's the main manual, and I read about half of it. Boy, that's quite a bit of it's over my head. So, but yes, do read the manual. Hope everybody has a good night. KI5PMI. Back to net.
Thanks, Bill. I don't know if I'm sure everybody's noticed it receives the magazine. Vicky's got where it will read it to you, and then if you go to YouTube, it will read it to you. You sit in front of your computer, you turn the pages and everything. So if you haven't done that yet, it's worth your while. I put my earbud in at night and lay in bed and let AI read me the newsletter, the news magazine. Thanks, Bill. Let's take sixes. We're going out to our last call district. I'm sorry, we got 2 fives. I got 2 fives. I got Bill, KI5 PMI. 5, stations in number 5. Your call sign's twice and slowly. This is Dick, WB2JPQ, number 5.
KJ5, JSL, Kilo Juliet 5, Juliet Sierra Lima.
Must be South Coast reflectors disconnected tonight. I got KJ5JSL. Anybody else? We already got Bill. Anybody else in number 5?
Whiskey 4 Foxtrot Whiskey November with a comment.
What's your comment, Don? Did you find the magic marker?
No, I didn't. DMR is still down in Orlando, and I even thought that WB2JPQ on Echolink was down, but I had it /L, and it was down, but ARC was up. So I thought I'd just mention it again, Dick. I'm sorry to bother you.
Issues with DMR. It shows up, but apparently it isn't. It's I'm gonna have to turn another trouble ticket in on it. I wasn't aware until you said that earlier tonight. It's becoming more of a pain than it's worth. And yes, we're aware that one of the I guess is down. That's why gateways for Echolink. ECR 9050, WB2JPQ-L, WB2JPQ-R. That's why there's 3 there. All right, let's go to Matthew, Oakland City, Oklahoma, KJ5JSL.
Thank you, Net Control. Sorry about earlier. Yes, I read the manual or I'll peruse it depending on how focused I want to be at the time. Definitely look at YouTube. Usually I'll read those manuals and check on YouTube on researching a radio before I get it. But yeah, it's always there in the toolkit for when I need to read it. By the way, QRZ should have my updated email from the homework last week. Back to Net Control, KJ5JSL.
Our system will pick it up as long as you updated your current email. We'll pick it up, Matthew. Price in the 5 is good afternoon. Yeah, good evening to you, Randall. K5RLR. So used to saying good morning to you, Randall. It's just a natural.
Good evening there, Dick and Vicky and Brother Scott out there if you're still listening. K5RLR. Well, needless to say, I'm like a lot of other folks. Spin the dial, see what happens. Hope everybody has a good evening. 7-3 to all, and see everybody here tomorrow on the Brew. Thanks for running the net, Dick. We do appreciate it. K5RLR. Back to you, sir.
You go, Randall. Turn it on. You hear somebody, you know propagation's good to wherever you're hearing. My propagation report as well. All right, who do I have in number 6? Stations in the 6th call district. We got Charles, KC6UFM, and Mike in Valley Springs, K6AAN already in. Who else do I have in the 6th call district? Call signs twice, please.
Kilo Delta 6, Charlie Whiskey India. Good evening, Dick.
E6, Mike, Hotel Sierra.
MHC, KD6CIW. I already said Mike. Anybody, and Charles already said those two. Anybody else with a 6 in their call sign? Mike Whiskey Golf. Kilo Mike 6, Mike Whiskey Golf. AM6 MWG. A little bit low on the audio, but we got you. All right. Well, let's go up to Charles. KC6 UFM. Good evening, Charles. Good say. Theologian tonight, not doing the first part.
Good evening, Dick, and everyone on the Tech Net. Special thanks to Vicky for being in the log room there, keeping track of when the cats start running in different directions, and thanks to you and Scott and Kevin for keeping us cut back into the rest of the herd. But as far as the question is concerned, I'm almost afraid, or ashamed, I should say, to admit it, Dick, but I can't remember the last time I read a manual. I have them all in a box, and I always get an electronic copy of some form or another, and I keep that on my system here to where I can pull it up at any moment if I do need to look something up. But, you know, I'm like you, Dick. I'm a little bit old school. You know, if you have to read directions to figure out how to use it, it's way too complicated. And, you know, real radios, when you turn them on, they make a loud sound. And the lights in the room dim just a little bit. And, of course, you can take your sweater off when you get the radio fired up in the middle of winter. So that's kind of where I am with it. But otherwise, not much happening here in beautiful downtown Guatai. It's been kind of warm the past few days, in the low to mid 80s. So looks like maybe we're done with the snow for the year. I'm not going to bet on that, but maybe we are. So back over to you, Dick. 7-3 to everyone on the net. Take care and stay safe. This is KC6 UFM. Back to net control.
I would have lost money on you, Charles. Good thing I didn't take Vicky's bet tonight. And snow. Yes, I woke up to snow here this morning. So, and the lights dimming, to answer that, back in the AM days. And did the lights dim. Mike, Valley Springs, K6AAN. Hi, Mike.
Well, hello there, Dick, and good evening to everybody on the East Coast Net. I admit I don't read the manual in its entirety. I'll usually peruse it and use it for the more complicated stuff when you want to go step by step. Handheld radios, though, I download the electronic copy of those things and I put them in the files area on my iPhone. That way, if I'm out and around and I'm using one that I'm not done everything with in a long time, hey, I can go to that manual and find out what I need. So comes in handy there. Anyway, other than that, spring weather here too in the high 70s, beautiful day, and looks like the rain's gone for 6 or 7 days around here anyway, if we see any more, so probably going to start getting hot real soon. With that, we'll hand it back to you, Dick, and you have a good evening. This is K6AAN.
Mike, I always love your audio. You got one of the nicest sounding nodes around. Ruben's up next, KD6CWI.
Good evening, Dick, and thank you for doing the net. On regards with the manuals, I don't regularly open it. I study the radio on YouTube prior to purchasing it and see if it's worth purchasing it. From there, I just work on it, and then if I have any issues, I would use YouTube. They're not always, in full detail. After that, it's Chat GPT, which is the AI, and sometimes they don't they don't have the correct answer. A simple question I asked today was mic gain on the FTM 400, and he didn't give me the right answer. So guess what? I looked it up in the manual. I found the correct answer, and that's how I use the manual. Thank you very much, everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy, enjoy life, and God bless everyone. 73 KD6 CWI. Back to Dick.
Thank you, Ruben. Redlands, California, Francesco, W6MHS. How are you doing?
Hi everyone. This is Whiskey 6MHS. By the way, I've been listening the net while I'm walking with my wife in the middle of Orange Grove trails here in the city of Redlands. Make a reset. Yes, I do like to read the manual because even in the past I didn't, but I learned recently that the radios with so much technology, if we don't read the manuals, basically we don't take advantage of the whole technology into the radio. So I do like to read the manuals, and I like to use as much as possible all the features they have. I do have old school radios, and I have new technology like digital modes. But I do like to read manuals. W6MHS, walking and talking here in the city of Redlands.
There you go, Francesco. You said that you're working in the fields. Would that be Redlands? I know nothing about it, but would that be grapes by any chance?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Said you're working in the fields. Working in grape fields. What do you harvest or what do you farm?
My comment is I'm walking. I'm doing my daily walking with my wife, and we had 40 acres of Orange Grove, which is a park, the city of Redlands. They call Prospect Park. 40 acres of Orange Grove, and they have trails where we can walk, and we love to come with my wife in the afternoon to do our walking journey every day about this time, which still have a daylight, and it's beautiful. The blooming smell of the orange is beautiful. So thank you for the net, W6M, while I'm walking and talking.
It was my mistake. I thought you said you were working. I thought you were working in the fields. Well, thanks for correcting that, and thank you for telling us about the oranges. Last on the sixes is Randy, KM6MWG. Good evening to you, Randy.
Repeater timed out, but at least it just came back on. This repeater times out periodically. Anyway, I use manuals. Yeah, I keep them for reference, where they're easy to get to in case I have a question, but I often download PDF copies also. Anyway, 73 for now. This is Kilo, Mike 6, and Mike Whiskey Golf.
Well then, Don's got the repeater, the timer, transmitter timer set for less than 3 minutes because somebody got over our 3-minute timer. Late and missed, we already got Alan, N7WZI. If you missed your call district and you're late to the party, as I guess Scott or somebody says, this is the time to get in there. Call signs twice and slowly. Anybody, anywhere.
KP3 DPK, KP3 DPK, Mr. Papa
Victor Tango Mike.
Zulu Sierra 2, Echo Charlie.
KD2 VNU, KD2 VNU.
KK7OGC, Kilo 7, Oscar Golf Charlie.
Whiskey 3, Bravo Radio Lima. Whiskey 3, Bravo Radio Lima. That wasn't many at all. We got Bradley, New Kensington, Pennsylvania, Fred in Reno, Dan in Derby, New York, Tom in Port Elizabeth, South Africa, Ian in Winter Park, Mary in Easton, Pennsylvania, and Ellen. You're not in Lubbock anymore. I guess you better change your QRZ or your FCC license. We still show you in Lubbock. But anyway, Ellen, good evening to you, N7WZI. And once again, our question tonight for the last time is, you read the instruction manuals for your radio equipment.
Yeah, by the most part, if I run into a problem programming one, I'll do the manual program on it. But normally, no. I try to use Chirp or the QIT programming for the radio. But sometimes that doesn't even seem to work. I don't have the right disk drive or something to download the information on it. I usually do it manual. That's the only thing I usually use the manual for, is programming my man well. You know what I mean.
ATN here. There's literally only one radio I own that I didn't read the manual for, and that's the 0DRN7500, because everything you control in the app, and by the time I owned the radio, I had already built the code plug and figured out how to program it, and it was just dropping the config into the radio for my iPhone. Super easy. I love it. I'm going to buy another one of these radios.
I must say, the station in Orlando, that was very rude. You come in here and give us all that information. You're not even on our log sheet, nor will you be on our log sheet. Mary in Pennsylvania, KB3VPK. Good evening to you.
Good evening, Dick, and everybody on the net. Yes, I read my manuals, especially when I've set my radios up, and then I have to make a change or something, that somebody changed their PL tone or changed the type of PL tone or something, and I can't remember how to operate my menus, especially on Yesus. Both things are pretty easy, but Yesus, I need to read the manual. Everybody have a good night. KB3VPK. Back to you.
Thanks, Mary. Tom, good morning to you. Is that S2EC?
Good morning to everybody. Local time here is 0414. When it comes to handhelds, yes, I read the manual. When it comes to HF radios, new or old, I also read the manuals, because sometimes I find it difficult to operate the new type radios, but that's what I do. Thank you, Dick.
Hey, Tom, you have a nice day. It's already, Wednesday in South Africa. Next up is Dan, KD2VNU.
Good evening, Dick. Good evening to the rest of the net. I do when they're available. If not, I do a lot of research to make sure I got everything down pat. Turn it back to net, and everybody have a good evening, KD2VNU.
And next up is Fred in Reno, KK70GC. Hi, Fred.
Good evening, Dick, and thank you, Vicki, and everyone else on the net. Yes, I do, and one of the other gentlemen just kind of piqued my interest when he said, yeah, I download the manuals to my phone, and I'm gonna do that. Anyway, KK70GC, back to net. Yes, I read the manuals.
We got you down for a yes. And last on the list tonight, New Kensington, Pennsylvania, W3BRL.
Good evening to the net. I always read manuals because you never know what you're not going to know. And so you end up screwing something up and you got to pull it up anyway. So always read them before you start doing stuff. W3BRL, back to net.
Alrighty, well, let me just look at our pie chart here tonight. It looks like 65% of the people say yes to reading a manual, 13% say no, 8% say sometimes, and 9% say skim through it. So there you go. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow on the Morning Brew for those of you that join us. This is Dick, WB2JPQ, for Scott, Vicki, Kevin. Have a good night.